Trump has been hit with a gag order, but if there's one thing Trump isn't known for, it's keeping his mouth shut. Welcome to America Uncovered, I'm Chris Chappell. Many of you may be wondering, how do I find the energy to keep making episodes week after week, year after year? The answer is coffee, lots of coffee. Specifically Days Coffee, the sponsor of today's episode. It's not just any coffee, it has something no other coffee in America has, which I'll explain in a bit. But now, in some ways, former U.S. President Donald Trump is like the toilet the Guggenheim Art Museum once offered him. He's taco-y, he's yellowish, and he's solid gold for the news outlets. I mean, he must be, because the moment anything happens with him, everybody just pounces at the opportunity to regurgitate the same information. It's like they think Trump is the anti-Voldemort. They're afraid if they stop saying his name, he'll return more powerful than ever. So, no surprise, mainstream news outlets were absolutely abuzz earlier this week when Judge Tanya Chutkin issued a gag order in Trump's January 6 Washington, D.C. criminal court case. Chutkin prohibited all parties, including Trump, from issuing statements targeting prosecutors, court staff, and witnesses involved in the January 6 case. She reasons that Trump's social media rants, which regularly targets his opponents, could endanger people involved in the case. Their biggest danger? Second-degree burns from getting roasted, when one innocent people suffering getting nicknames like Sleepy or DeSanctimonious. That's just cruel. Trump has quite a history of making rants against people he doesn't like. He's called special counsel Jack Smith a lowlife and deranged. And he even suggested that he looks like a crackhead. Trump also called former Vice President Mike Pence delusional, and Chutkin a fraud and a Trump-hating judge. Chutkin isn't amused with Trump's antics. She says Trump must comply with his conditions of release. He does not have the right to say and do exactly as he pleases. Wait, isn't that what the First Amendment is all about? Which is exactly what Trump's attorneys are arguing. But Chutkin disagrees. She told Trump's defense, "You keep talking about censorship like the defendant has unfettered First Amendment rights. He doesn't." Why? Well, because First Amendment protections yield to the administration of justice and to the protection of witnesses. She said, "This is not about whether I like the language Mr. Trump uses. This is about language that endangers the administration of justice. So much for sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." I'm surprised the TSA isn't screening us for naughty words at the airport. We have to protect the airline's feelings. Chutkin's reasoning is based on evidence that when Trump has publicly attacked individuals, those individuals are consequently threatened and harassed. That's what they got Alex Jones for. Trump has a massive following, and some of them are very protective of him, which definitely makes his court cases a bit unprecedented. Also, she's not completely silencing Trump. Her gag order specifically allows Trump to criticize the Biden administration, the government at large, the Justice Department, the prosecution's political motivation, and the campaigns or policies of his political rivals. It's just that he can't target certain people. It's not like Trump has never targeted anyone, like when he said General Milley's actions with regard to China were so egregious that in times gone by the punishment would have been death, or that former Attorney General Bill Barr should be executed for his treasonous acts. It's also not like Trump hasn't ever seemed threatening, like when he posted, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." Really, Trump missed his bet when he didn't continue with his WWE career. The problem with Chutkin's order is that it's not clear how Chutkin would determine penalties. It also leaves a lot of room for interpretation. At one point, a prosecutor said that Trump would be in violation of the gag order if he declared that crooked Joe Biden directed the indictment as a way to interfere with the 2024 election. But then later said that Trump wouldn't be in violation if he said Biden directed the Department of Justice to go after him. Chutkin's gag order is a response to a request from special counsel Jack Smith, who cited witness intimidation as well as the risk of Trump undermining public confidence in the court system through his social media rants. Though to be fair, nothing undermines public confidence in the court system more than the court system. If I had a nickel for every time I heard about a prisoner being released after being wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years, we might have enough to pay damages to a prisoner who was wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years. Smith and federal prosecutors pushed for a gag order, even more after Trump's statements about General Mark Milley. And this isn't the only gag order that Trump has received. In a separate case that month, a judge overseeing a case to block Trump from the 2024 Colorado presidential ballot had Trump hit with an order banning threats and intimidation. On top of that, New York Judge Arthur Engoron issued a gag order against Trump earlier this month over a Truth Social post calling his law clerk Schumer's girlfriend and linking to her Instagram account. So yeah, there hasn't been any lack of trying to get Trump to shut up. The problem is, trying to keep Trump away from social media rants is a lot like trying to keep the media from talking about Trump. As much as some are really hoping these gag orders will get Trump sent to jail, the reality is they're only helping Trump look like a martyr. How? I'll get to that in a moment. But first, we definitely need a coffee break. So what kind of coffee am I drinking? Why, Days coffee, of course. And I want to tell you why I love this particular brand of coffee so much. For one, it has very low acidity compared to most other coffees. That makes it taste a lot better. It's not bitter like most coffees, and it's gentle on my tummy. It only has 15% of the caffeine of a regular coffee, and that's good for reducing caffeine dependency, while also being able to enjoy multiple cups of coffee a day. It's just the right amount of kick you need without jitters or a caffeine crash. How do they make this special coffee? Well, first, they collect only premium-grade coffee beans from Colombia, Guatemala, Brazil, and Ethiopia. Then they treat the beans with 50 enzymes and ferment them. It's a patented process developed by a former cancer researcher at Yale Medical School, along with a team of South Korean scientists. So believe me, Days coffee is very, very good. It's got notes of dark chocolate, butterscotch, brown sugar, and nuttiness. And the beans are roasted in New York's Hudson Valley. So when you order Days coffee using my link below, you'll get a special discount, and once you order, they'll roast it right before they ship it to you. So it's just about as fresh as you can get by mail. So click below to try it out. All right, back to Trump. There are people who are trying to gag Trump, and they're saying that Trump's endless social media rants represent a safety concern for people involved in the court cases. The reality is, this has become fodder for Trump's presidential campaign because he speaks about his gag order. He posted on Truth Social how they leak, lie, and sue, and then won't allow me to speak. He doesn't just make it about himself. He directs all attacks on him as an attack on the American people. This is the core of his campaign. They aren't after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Every impeachment, indictment, gag order feeds that. Trump tells his supporters that Democrats, through the judicial system, want to take away his First Amendment right to free speech and his ability to both campaign and defend himself, thus cheating and interfering in the 2024 presidential election. Smith and prosecutors are fully aware that Trump does this, which is why they keep insisting that the defendant should not be permitted to continue to try this case in the court of public opinion rather than in the court of law, and thereby undermine the fairness and integrity of this process. Even after Chutkin's gag order, Trump wasted no time attacking her. He basically said, "I am rubber and you are glue. Ugly glue. Have you ever seen glue this ugly? Sad." Trump is now making himself into a martyr, saying, "I'm willing to go to jail."
The judge doesn't like me too much. Her whole life is not liking me. But she gave a gag order. You know what a gag order is? You can't speak badly about your opponent. But this is weaponry all being done because Joe Biden is losing the election and losing very, very badly to all of us in the polls. He's losing badly. But what they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
Trump's campaign is going all in on the martyrdom narrative, casting blame on quote-unquote crooked Joe Biden for muzzling Trump. A Trump fundraising email is going out saying, "Today really isn't about gagging me, it's an attempt to gag the American people." Given all the leaked photos of Hunter, this wouldn't be the first time a Biden made the American people gag. Trump's campaign is taking full advantage of this, saying Chutkin's decision is an absolute abomination and another partisan knife stuck in the heart of our democracy. President Trump will continue to fight for our Constitution, the American people's right to support him, and to keep our country free of the chains of weaponized and targeted law enforcement. The thing is, it's kind of hard to see how Chutkin and other prosecutors aren't being political in their dealings with Trump, despite their insistence otherwise, especially with all the attempts to keep him off the ballot. If they just ignored Trump, Trump couldn't say they were going after him, and that's his whole campaign. But instead they tried to blow up his business and seize his property, communist style, which you can learn about in this video. And click that orange button to support America Uncovered on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.